Oh, hello. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Hunter Clade, our last Imperial team. And so we've reviewed all the Imperial teams now. And there's a reason I left this one to last. It's fiendishly complicated. So, complex list building here. I'll go ahead and read it. So, your Hunter Clade kill team, first of all, you've got Recon and Seek and Destroy. You want to kill things with this list, so those of you that know the Tac Op decks, you'll know that Recon actually probably has the best killing things Tac Op. I'm probably going to go for that. But obviously, Seek and Destroy, you can make that work as well. Okay. It's a 10 model team. The way I want to think about this is you've got 4 chassis. Okay. You've got the Infiltrator, the Ruststalker, the Ranger, and the Vanguard. Right? And then onto those chassis, you can lay your packages. So any of those 4 can be your leader. And generally speaking, when you make one your leader, it buffs all the other things on the same chassis as it. Right? And then you've also got your Gunner, Diktat, Surveyor, right? They can only be on the Ranger or the Vanguard, the 2 kind of man-sized chassis. And then you've got Warriors, and obviously everything can be a Warrior. Okay? You can only have 1 Diktat, even though you can have 2 different chassis can bear the Diktat package, if you like. And the same with Surveyors. Gunners, you can have as many as 3 gunners. Okay? Each gunner has to have a unique gun. So you've got the arc rifle, the plasma cavalier, or the transuranic arquebus. The person bearing those guns can be either a ranger or a vanguard. Okay. But also your total number of Sicarians and gunners can't go above 6. And your total number of Sicarians is capped at 5. So, right, fingers, okay, you can have a max of 3 gunners. So you take 3 gunners, right? You take 3 Sicarians, right? So your balanced list, or I guess your max gunners list, is 3 gunners, 3 Sicarians. And then you can add 2 more Sicarians, but for every 2 more Sicarians you add, you've got to take away 2 of your gunners. Personally, the way Kill Team is right now on Killzone Volcus or Killzone Gallowdark, I really favour the 5 Sicarians. I think that's the way, because you know what? I actually don't think it. I know in some of these I've been learning, I've been on a journey as I've been making these videos. I actually don't think it's a shooting edition. I think it's a close combat edition. There's so much heavy terrain that you can definitely kill people with shooting if you are sufficiently mobile, I guess. But I think combat is the way to go. So I think 5 Sicarians is the way. So that's, hopefully I've explained that to you pretty well. Let's go through some of the faction rules. So Doctrinary Imperatives is the most disappointing rule in the entire of the Kill Team canon. Okay, this rule sucks. Okay, so for Strategic Gambit, you select a Doctrine Imperative, so it's a global buff for your whole team. How could that suck? Well, each buff has to have a downside. No one else gets a downside for their, for their benefits. Even if this is balanced, I don't think it is. But even if this is balanced, it feels bad. Like, it's just bad design that your defining thing that makes your team cool comes with an inherent negative when that's not the norm for Kill Team. So let's have a little look at them. So it says here, Tech Priests dictate the protocols for the Hunter Clade to follow as they move through their mission, straining the programming of the Skitarii and the Sicarians in order to optimize their current status to the detriment of all else. So, Strategic Gambit, you select a Doctrine Imperative for a friendly Hunter Clade operative to have, all operatives to have, until the ready step of the next strategy phase. Each Doctrine Imperative has both an optimization and a depreciation rule. Both are in effect while your Kill Team has that doctrine. So, the Protector Imperative, you gain ceaseless on your ranged weapons, okay, but your melee weapons have -1 to hit. Conqueror, you gain ceaseless in melee, but your ranged weapons have -1 to hit. Bulwark, right? You can re-roll any defense dice of 1 result when you're shooting, but you're -1 inch to your move. Aggressor, you're +1 inch to move, but you're -1 to your save. Or nothing. And the problem is, this faction, by design, you're going to have... well, you can play it pure shooting, right? If you want to take 10 rangers, you can do that, right? And then you can try and live in like the protector imperative. But what you've done there is make a terrible version of an Imperial Guard team, right? So I wouldn't do that. You want to be maxing out on Sicarians. I think you can only be half Sicarians. The other half of your list is going to be shooty. So all of these are going to end up hurting half your team, right? Like, yeah, you might have your big turn with the Sicarians and want to use the Conqueror Imperative to get like bonus to your melee and not care that you haven't got much shooting to do, because maybe you're just going to get loads of charges in that turn. But it still sucks that, like, a lot of the time, you're going to want to hedge your bets and sit in the neutral imperative. So in other words, you're just going to go, do you know what? I don't want a faction rule. And the fact that that is compelling as an option makes the whole like thing seem pretty poor. And in the previous edition, at one point of the game, they had a rule where you only got the depreciation the second time you picked that imperative. So you've got 4 of them. If you've used a different one each turn, they were only buffs. And I think that is cool. Like, that means you're getting straight buffs, but there's a tactical, like, is this the turn I want to burn being able to do this without a downside? And it also means that, like, turn 3 or turn 4, if all of your or most of your relevant like shooting guys are dead, you could double back over to the extra combat one. You know, and you can, like, that would make it cool. Games Workshop needs to bring back that change. I think to make the team feel fun. Like, maybe the team's strong, sitting in the neutral imperative, but it doesn't seem cool, right? And playing games should be fun. So I'm not a big fan of the Doctrine of Imperatives. Strategy ploys. So the way this works is you have 1 ploy per chassis, right? So you have 1 for Vanguard, 1 for Infiltrator, 1 for Ranger, 1 for Ruststalker. And what that means is, coupled with the fact that your leader buffs, as we'll see in a minute, his own chassis, right? His own family of things. This really encourages you to camp on 2 chassis, all right? So let's have a look at these and try and bear these in mind all the way through the video while we're comparing the 4 chassis. So debilitating irradiation. The Skitarii Vanguard push forward, shrouded in clouds of radiation. Those caught in this lethal miasma find their combat abilities greatly degraded. So whenever an enemy operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against a friendly Hunter Clade Vanguard operative, if that enemy operative is under the effects of rad saturation, so in other words they're nearby basically, we'll see that in a minute, subtract 1 from the normal damage stat of its weapons to a minimum of 3. I mean, that is pretty good. I don't personally think Vanguard is the way you're going to play most of the time. But like, I can see it being cool. Neurostatic interference. Sicarian infiltrators confound their foes by emitting and hissing static and electromagnetic pulses that cloud minds and interfere with Vox networks. Whenever an enemy operative within 6 of a friendly Hunter Clade infiltrator operative is shooting, fighting, or retaliating, your opponent cannot re-roll their attack dice. I mean, it's all right. It's not awful, but it's not. It's completely outshined by the Ruststalker ploy that we're going to see in a minute. Okay. We'll do the Ruststalker one now. At the bottom there, Accelerant's agents, Skitarii and Ruststalkers are flooded with aggression-inducing Beharanic code, inciting within them a lust for violence and enabling them to strike with blinding speed and nightmarish force. During each friendly Hunter Clade Ruststalker operative's activation, it can perform 2 fight actions, and 1 of them can be free. So, this is really good, right? This is basically giving you fight twice on what is otherwise a 2 APL. Spoilers, a 2 APL figure. It's giving you that thing. It's giving you that ability to, bearing in mind if you're taking Ruststalkers, they don't have guns, right? So essentially, it's giving you fight twice like you're a Space Marine. You know, I think if there's anything in this list that's the way to play the list, I think it's taking 5 Ruststalkers and taking Accelerant Agents and playing it every turn. Maybe not the first turn, because you're probably going to enter combat, but playing it in turns 2, 3, and 4 every time. We'll go for Scouting Protocol as well. Operating as Advanced Scouts, Skitarii Rangers avoid close combat, darting from cover to cover to evade the attention of the enemies. Each friendly Hunter Clade Ranger operative that has a conceal order and is more than 6 from enemy operatives can immediately perform a free dash. In an order of your choice, you cannot play this in the first turning point. So this is pretty good, right? If you've gone for, which is the build that I'm going to sort of lean towards as I'm reviewing them, half Ruststalkers, half Rangers, which is, I think, probably the way I would want to play them. It means that you can spend a CP, turn it up at 2, and you can immediately do a dash out of sequence with all of your Rangers if that's what you want to do. You don't have to move all of them. I think that's pretty powerful. And we'll see exactly why in a few minutes. So we're going to start... Oh, sorry, FireFight Ploys, nearly forgot. So we got Control Edict. The leader of a Hunter Clade assumes partial control of another member of their kill team, coordinating precision strikes with the nearby operative. Use this FireFight Ploy when it's your turn to activate a friendly operative. Select one friendly Hunter Clade leader operative and one other friendly Hunter Clade operative visible to him within 3 of the leader. Activate one as normal. When the first one is activated, is expended. Sorry, you can activate the other friendly operative before your opponent activates. When that other operative is expanded, your opponent then activates as normal. Whenever you use this ploy, you can't select more than one Sicarian operative. So, shame it doesn't work on 2 Sicarians, because that'd be amazing. But yeah, group activation for a CP isn't bad. Like, I don't always rate group activation when you're forced into it, but when you can choose to turn it on only when it's going to be beneficial to you, that's pretty neat. Scrap Code Overload. The Hunter Clade's Infiltrator releases an enormous bombardment of static and scrap code that disrupts communication channels, reduces enemy coordination, and allows the kill team to seize objectives and material from under the foe's nose. The foe's nose. Nice. Use this Firefight Ploy when a friendly Hunter Clade Infiltrator operative is activated. Alternatively, use the Firefight Ploy when a friendly Hunter Clade Infiltrator operative or an enemy operative within 3 of that friendly operative will perform the pickup marker or mission action, excluding Operate Hatch, until the start of the next friendly operative's activation. Whenever determining control of a marker, treat the total APL stat of enemy operatives that contested as 1 lower. If at least one of those enemy operatives is within 3 of that friendly operative. This isn't a change to APL, so any changes are cumulative, and this can change the control of a marker before performing the action. Look, this is cool, and this could potentially win you a game, but playing around on objectives is a much smaller part of Kill Team now. And I don't want to waste any of my precious Sicarian slots on Infiltrators because I'm in love with the Ruststalker. But this is a good ability, to be clear. It's just not enough for me to be sold on Infiltrators over Ruststalkers. But, like, I'm not very good at kill teams, so your mileage may vary with the tactical... you know, you might try it, right, and go, actually, I really like this. This won me a game. But I don't think it will. We got Command Override. By activating Command Override, the imperatives of individual operatives can be altered in response to ever-shifting mission protocols. Use this Firefight Ploy when you activate a friendly Hunter Clade operative. Select the doctrine imperative for that operative to have instead of its current one, if any, until the ready step of the next strategy phase. I mean, this is fine, right? It means that you can, if you've got, you know, your whole team's alive and you've put them in the combat one, and then you can spend a CP to put your gunner into the shooting one. It's depressing. It's depressing that you're sort of spending CP to buy off negatives. Sorry, I'm very yawny. To buy off negatives for one guy for one turn. Like, yay! But I don't like the rules, right? So it's hard. I think this is probably very good. If you're going to try and make this team work, you probably need to have this be aware of it and be using it quite a lot. But like, I can't get excited about the Doctriners. They're just, yeah. Omniscience Imperative, the most extreme form of the Doctriner Imperative, this protocol pushes an operative's wiring beyond safe limits, providing additional combat power at the cost of burned circuitry and charred flesh. Phil, come on. Use this FireFight Ploy during a friendly Hunter Clade operative's activation. Inflict D3+1 damage on that operative. Until the ready step of the next strategy phase, the operative has an additional special rule as determined by its current Doctriner Imperative. If it's in Protector, the weapon has Severe. If it's in Conqueror, the first attack dice... Oh, you can immediately resolve another before your opponent. That's pretty good. Bulwark, improve the save stat by 1. And you can collect and roll additional defense dice. That's not messing about. Bear in mind, though, you're going for that defensive one. You've just done yourself damage for the privilege, so it would have to be rather good. Aggressor, ignore the first vertical distance of 2 inches that you moved during a climb, or neutral, nothing. You can use this play after rolling attack or defense dice for the operative, or before or after retaining or re-rolling those dice, which is pretty good when it comes to things like Protector and Conqueror, because you can see whether they're going to help you in that turn. It's a really fun ploy, and it's really probably pivotal to the way the team works. It's going to get you some big plays, but I still find it hard to get excited about the doctrines, so there it is. Right, we're going to do something weird. We're going to look at the Warriors first to gain an understanding of our 4 chassis, as I'm calling them, right? So you got the Infiltrator. So he's 2 APL, a 6-inch move, 4 up save, 10 wounds. Now, he's got options. Let me just flick back to try and remind myself which pair with what here. So the Infiltrator, it's the Flechette. Oh, no, it's wide open. It's wide open. So if you take them... What are you going for? Oh, the Flechette Blaster's 5 dice weaker damage, but it's silent. I mean, I'm going for the power weapon every day, right? Just for that sweet 6 crit, and I always want I want the more damage over the shock. That's just me, maybe. And then I guess the sub carbine. Yeah, he's fine. Honestly, if you're taking Infiltrators, it's because you like the look of that Infiltrator ploy about messing around with objectives. That is the only reason, as far as I can see, because the Ruststalker is just so much better. First of all, okay, yeah, you can't get a gun, but you've got a choice of 2 close combat weapons. To my smooth brain, Transonic Blades is just better, because it's rending and an extra point of crit versus balanced, which, yeah. I mean, you're hitting all 3s anyway, like... I'm sure the maths boys are going to tell me that, like, maybe the Cold Claw's better in some way, but the Transonic Blades seem better to me, right? And then he's got special rules just on his basic warrior self, right? So whenever you're shooting the operative, if you retain any cover saves, you can retain 1 additional cover save, or you can retain a cover save as a crit. I mean, great, because you're going to be running up the board, right? You're going to hopefully stage in cover. If someone's trying to shoot you, to stop you getting to them, you've got, you've only got 4 up save, but actually you're only going to roll 1 of your dice because you're going to be, retaining 2 cover saves. It's pretty good. I think they're pretty good. I just want to take 5 of them, or 4 of them and the leader maybe, but yeah, because they can fight twice. They can all fight twice for 1 CP spend. Ruststalkers, man. That is the only thing about this team that makes me think, yeah, all right, I see what these do. We can also look at the Ranger. So the Ranger's interesting. So these are your basic guys. It's basically the same stat line, but you lose 3 wounds. You go down to 7 wounds. You've got Galvanic Rifle, which is a sort of basic small arm, is pretty good. It's heavy, but it's heavy reposition only. You're a 2 APL model, so you weren't going to reposition and dash and shoot. Yes, you've got a comms later on, so maybe, right, but... Heavy reposition only, piercing crits 1, and a special rule targeting protocol. Whenever the operative is shooting, if it hasn't moved during the activation or it's a counteraction, ranged weapons on its data card have lethal 5 up. So you can gain yourself, and you can move after you've shot as well, which is pretty, if you've got a shot without having to move, and bear in mind, you can use that strategic ploy. This is what makes it good, to give them all a dash. So hopefully, you can find your way to get dash, to draw a shot, activate, take the shot, move somewhere else. Like, that's the plan. Whether it will succeed, I don't know. You probably have other models that you're more important to activate first. People are going to move out of the way, etc., etc. But it's an interesting idea, and as a warrior, having that piercing crits 1 on your weapon, it's pretty cool, right? Lethal 5-up piercing crits 1 is pretty cool. The Vanguard warrior, a much less exciting gun, right? 4 dice sitting on freeze, 2-4 rending. Then you got rad saturation. So when you're within 2 of a friendly hunt, if an enemy is within 2, then the hit stat of their weapons goes down by 1, which isn't cumulative of being injured. Like, it's fine, but if an enemy is within 2 of you, it's a good buff. But if they're within 2 of you, they're going to just punch you in the face and kill you. So I don't like them. I'm going Ruststalkers and Rangers. If I was playing this team all day long, Ruststalkers and Rangers. We got the Infiltrator Princeps. So he buffs Infiltrators, right? He's got a slightly... No, he's got the same collection of weapons. Man. Yeah. He's got an extra wound. And whenever a friendly Hunter Clade Infiltrator operatives in 3 of this operative has a conceal order and is in cover, it can't be a valid target. Now, I mean, look, that is a good buff. And if you think that is going to swing it for you, like, you can ball up all your infiltrators and stealth up the board, fine. But, like, the Ruststalkers have already got the 2 defense dice from cover thing. I don't think you need to go for this guy. I would go for the Ruststalker. Now, the Ruststalker has a better... Like, he has balanced and rending. He doesn't have to pick. And 4/6 damage for his Cord Claw and Transonic Blades. Awesome. He's got the same Wasteland Stalker rule as the other guys had before. And then he's got Counterkill of Destruction. Whenever a friendly Hunter Clade Ruststalker operative within 3 of this operative is fighting, the first time you strike with a crit, you inflict 1 additional damage. I mean, that's not bad, is it? Bear in mind, he's a friendly Hunter Clade Ruststalker within 3 inches of himself. So he's got 7 damage on the first hit. Lots of models in this game with 7 wounds. That's pretty good, isn't it? So I think he's really good. The Ruststalker Princeps and 4 little Ruststalker friends is definitely, like, I was playing this list, that is going to be the core of what I'm going to try and do. I don't know if it's good, because like I say, your army-wide special rule is bobbins, but that's the basic idea. You do that, right? And that seems quite strong. When we got the Ranger leader that you can take, so, okay, the Ranger leader's really confused, because he has the same targeting protocol rule about if he hasn't moved, he gets lethal 5-up. But all of his better weapons, like the mastercrafted radium pistol, the phosphor blast pistol, the arc pistol that you can choose between, they're all pistols with range 8 that want you to move up. So you're not... He's a contradiction, right? He does have Counterkill of Elimination, so other Rangers within 3, he gives the weapons punishing. It's a good buff. You could just use him for that, just stand him at the back buffing something. Seems like a waste of a leader to me. Alright, it does. The Vanguard Alpha, arguably a better leader because his rad saturation actually synergizes with having these powerful pistols. He's wanting to move up and shoot pistols, right? And if you wanted to play Alpha Vanguards, right, you know, I think a Vanguard aggro list is not a terrible idea, where you're just moving up the board with your Vanguards trying to get everybody rad saturated. It's not a terrible idea. I think I prefer Ruststalkers and Rangers, though. He's got a buff, so while an enemy operative is in 3 of this operative, so he doesn't actually buff his friends, right? While an enemy operative is in 3 of this operative, then it has rad saturate, and it also loses an attack. It's not bad. Then we got the Ranger Gunner. So the build, first of all, you want your gunner to be a ranger because you want targeting protocols. It's going to do a lot more for you than if you're within 2 inches. Stuff happens because you're a gunner and all your guns are infinite range. I actually like the Transuranic Arquebus. Plasma Cavalier is good as well, right? Plasma Cavalier can go up to 5/6 hot, lethal 5-up, piercing 1, which is a good profile. But the arquebus, we're stationary, we can hit on 2s. 4-3 Dev 3, Piercing 1 Severe, which is pretty good. We can gain lethal 5 if we didn't move, and since we're heavy, we won't have moved. So you can go ahead and add lethal 5 to that profile, which is pretty good. Bear in mind, again, because he's a ranger, you can dash out of sequence and then shoot. You're not silent. You might look at his gun and go, hey, that's a sniper, I'm silent. You're not, so bear that in mind. The Vanguard Gunner. Exciting anti-synergy. Right, your Vanguard rule helps you when you get close to somebody. Your Gunner guns don't want you to get close to somebody. Like, never take this. The Ranger Surveyor. So, if you, again, the Surveyor package on top of the Ranger Warrior, like, it just gives you extra abilities. So, if you're taking a Ranger Warrior, you may as well take this guy instead, right? And what it gives you is, for 1 AP, you select an enemy operative visible to this operative until the end of the turning point. Whenever a Hunter-Clade operative within 3 of this operative is shooting that enemy operative, you can use the effect. If you do, the friendly operative's ranged weapons have Seek Light. They can't be obscured. So, you know, this is a great place to be using your... well, I would say it's a great place to use your group activation. You have to use that with your leader, right? You can't just use that with 2 guys. The problem is you can use this guy to buff like your Aquabus, but then you've done it, and then the guy that you've nominated then could potentially get a turn and move away. Unless you're using it on an exhausted fellow, that could work. But like I said, as limited as it might be, you may as well take one because it's better than a warrior. And then you can have the same thing on a Vanguard. Probably less useful, because it's probably not something that wants to be moving up all the time. Then we got the Diktat. So same thing. This guy is comms. He's a 6-inch comms. So for 1 AP, visible and within 6, gets +1 APL. Now, if you're taking this guy as a ranger, he's wanting to hand back. He's wanting to get some galvanic rifle shots off. Realistically, you're going to buff Sicarian to number 1, right? And then what are you doing with him? You know, a bit of a struggle, maybe buffing people here and there. Maybe you're running him up the field after all. Yeah, hard to get the mileage out of that in a list that wants generally to stand back and shoot with this half of it, but you are going to use it in turn up at 1, so that's good. Vanguard Diktat, arguably more synergy with the 6-inch comms, because he wants to move up and be mobile, but because of how the ploys work, I do think there's some wisdom to stick into 2 chassis, so maybe if you're going to go Rangers, you go all Rangers, like, I don't know. But then again, you just take this one guy as not a Ranger, and all the Rangers are getting their free dash, and he just doesn't, and you don't spend the ploy for this guy. Like, if you want to go for the Diktat just to get the rad saturation on someone that might be moving up, it's not the worst thing in the world, but honestly, I like the Rangers anyway, right? It's not that you're going to have the spare AP to move dash shoot, because you're going to be wanting to use signal activation anyway, so the fact that Ranger's heavy reposition on his gun is no never mind, and it's still piercing crits. Equipment. So we've got the rad bombardment with a short Binharik. With a short Binharik. Can't just be binaric, it has to be Binharik. Transmission. The Hunter-Clade call down a radioactive bombardment. Mortar rounds rain down, emitting swathes of irradiating energy that flush the enemy from cover or force them to retreat from critical objectives. Once per battle strategic gambit in any turning point after the first, select 1 objective marker or your opponent's drop zone. Roll 1d6 separately for each enemy operative in control range of that selected objective marker or within the drop zone, and subtract 1 if any part of the enemy operative's base underneath vantage terrain. On a 4-up, you subtract 1 from its operative's APL stat until the end of its activation. On a 6, you also inflict D3 damage. Roll separately for each. This is pretty good. You know, it doesn't affect your guys. They're happily immune to it. So you can just blap it onto the central objective, which has a tendency to become a little bit of a mosh pit in some games. Or if your opponent's trying to castle up and play for play security, you can always bam it in their deployment zone instead, which is pretty funny. Redundancy systems. Expected to operate behind enemy lines for extended periods, Hunter Clade operatives are often upgraded with redundancy augmetics such as backup lungs and emergency blood packs, ensuring they remain capable of functioning even after suffering terrible damage. Once per turning point, when a friendly Hunter Clade operative is activated, if it's not within control range of enemy operatives, you can use this rule. If you do, that friendly operative regains DV plus 2 lost wounds. Splendid, right? It's a heal. It's mandatory. All you have to do is not be in combat. Love it. Taking it every time. Refractor Field. A miniaturized shield generator given to key warriors of the Diktats Mechanicus. This device projects a barrier of energy that deflects shots and preserves the machine form of the bearer. Once per turning point, when an operative is shooting a friendly Hunter Clade operative, at the start of the roll defense dice step, you can use this rule. If you do, worsen the X, the piercing weapon rule by 1, if any, until the end of the sequence, so piercing 1 would therefore be ignored. Again, splendid. You got to protect your stuff. You got to protect your little Ruststalkers as they're moving up, right, to get into the juicy combat. If someone tries to blam them with a plasma gun, you just be like, I turned off a piss. Sorry. And now I'm retaining 2 saves because I'm in cover. Sorry. And then finally, we've got the Extremist Mind Link. This technology allows Hunter Clade leaders to retain close control over their Skitarii and Sicarian soldiers. In turn, the soldiery see the Mind Link as a blessed thing, for the edicts transmitted to them are surely the will of the Omnisire. Once per battle, you can use the control leader FireFight ploy for 0 CP, but instead of activating the friendly operatives in succession, activate them at the same time. Complete their activations of that action in any order. This is potentially extremely powerful, but it's one of those ones where, it's this powerful thing, but it's not going to come up every game. And if you make a rod for your own back by trying to sort of like make it happen, you might struggle. So really good. You often want to take it. It's worth having. But because I'm concerned that you'll have games where you don't use it, maybe it's the first thing I'd drop if I wanted universal equipment. You know, something like a smoke grenade, because I quite like, you know, if you've got someone like your Aquabus, you know, set up on conceal, right? Someone gives you a shot, flip to engage, shoot, drop the smoke grenade at your feet. Okay? Smoke grenade lasts a little bit into the next turning point. It's just going to keep your Aquabus alive, right? Wait for the smoke to disperse, take another shot, drop the second smoke grenade at your feet again if you want to. And that's how you can sort of have a protected sniper with a piece of equipment like that without having to have a silent weapon. I think that's pretty good. So, and ladders as well. On a lot of maps, you kind of really want a ladder. On Better Decima, you're going to really want like the barricades. Keep bringing up Better Decima even though it's irrelevant, right? But I think that I would drop the Extremist Mind Link just because all the other 3... they just do things. They just do things and it's fantastic and it just works. And you will use all 3 of those every game. Whereas the Extremist Mind Link is the one you might not use. Tac Ops. I'm going to play this team. It's going to be to run up and kill things with Ruststalkers. Ironically, the best killing things Tac Op for this team I think is Confirmed Kill in the Recon deck, which I think is slightly more achievable, certainly for a close combat killing team, than anything in the Tac Ops deck. Sadly. Oh, it's expensive to buy. £71. And if you want... Now, bear in mind, it says Rangers and Infiltrators. These kits can build either. So the Rangers kit can also build the... you know, the other fellas. God, I've forgotten the name already and it's been like 30 seconds. The Rangers kits can also build the Vanguards. That's the one. And the Infiltrators kit can also build the Ruststalkers. But if you want every option as possible, you're not spending £71, you're spending double to get 2 boxes. Now listen, one £34 box of Skitarii Rangers is a legal team, it just sucks. You want to add in the box of Infiltrators for 37 quid, then you've got something that looks pretty cool. But like I say, if you want the deepest possible array of options, you're going to double this up and spend quite a lot of money. And I'd make a joke about, and then you could have a 40k Abmech army, but last time I looked at a 40k Abmech, it was a massive horde army, so maybe not. How does anybody afford to buy into 40k as a brand new player? Anyway, final thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts. To me, the team is disappointing because its central rule, its signature special rule, the thing that makes it the team that it is, kind of sucks, right? So that puts me off the team, plus the price. But I will say the idea of running 5 Ruststalkers is funny, and that appeals. It sort of seems straightforwardly, brutishly powerful, which seems really good. I think it's 5 really good combat guys that are backed up by some decent shooting guys as well. So positive. Let me know what you think, I guess, in the comments below. I want to say thank you to all my members, subscribers, and supporters. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. And just so everybody knows, I've said it a couple of times, tomorrow, Tuesday, is going to be the hobby stream day. It's changed. It's not Wednesday. Wednesday, there'll be no video because I'm playing Kill Team with Mr. Zimbad. Right, so the next video on the channel will be on Thursday. But there'll be a live stream on Tuesday. Right? And I need to send a special shout out to Compendium Lover, who is a channel member at the highest possible tier and therefore sends me quite a lot of money every single month. Alright guys, thank you for watching, listening, hanging out with, and I'll see you again next time. Cheery, 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 bye.